All right, it's 10:20 Saturday night. Saturday is the day that I had intended, as of a couple weeks ago, to set aside each week to work pretty much primarily, at least, on videos. And I didn't really do that today. All I did was post the couple videos I'd already worked on last week. The good part of that is that I am keeping up with them for the most part throughout the week, although without a whole lot of editing or intention besides the intention that goes into the thoughts that I share in the videos in the first place as I'm making them. And I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that yet. On one hand, I think it's good to just kind of say it all in the video, not really have to edit a lot, not have a lot of cuts and stuff like that. And that might make me work on, they might not be perfect, basically. They might not be perfect. I might not say exactly what I want to say exactly in the way that I want to say it, but over time, it provides the opportunity to practice expressing myself well in one take. And I think that's a good skill to have. So, I'm not going to just, even if it's not giving me results that I'm super happy with right off the bat, I'm not going to say immediately that it's the wrong way to approach it. Today, first of all, it's dark. Second of all, I just want to go on a run where I'm like both arms driving the whole time. And that's one thing that running with a camera does not allow, because I'm holding one hand steady out in front of me the whole time. And that's not, like, it's still a real run, but it's not quite the same as just running both arms and legs driving. And that's what I feel like I need tonight. So I'm not going to take the camera with me. Not that the camera would capture much anyways, since it's dark. So I'm going to go for the run now, and then I'll maybe do some post-run thoughts afterward. It's not post-run yet. I just remembered the other thing I wanted to say in this video. I had kind of a rough day, and part of that was self-created, and part of it was just external and things that are going on, that all of which I have something to do with, but not every factor is under my control or up to me to determine. Having said that, I've noticed when I do have a tough day that often I want to rely on some sort of screen to help me through it, whether that's kind of vegging out in front of Facebook, scrolling, watching videos, getting sucked into each little reel and clip, or whether it's trying to resolve a problem by messaging someone, texting someone, sending an email, or doing something else via technology. And what I am realizing is that is all external stuff. That's all me sending or viewing something that is external. And it's a distraction from maybe what the real focus needs to be, which is internal. What's going on inside of me that I can address directly with myself instead of trying to address something with someone else via the computer or the phone or something else. Because as soon as I'm pulling out that device, that means I'm no longer trying to address something internally with me. I'm immediately trying to connect or resolve or communicate with somebody else. And there is a time and place to communicate with others. But I've noticed that it's a cop-out and a go-to instead of asking myself what's really going on with me and what do I need to address with myself so that I can better communicate and effectively address what needs to be addressed with others. So just a thought there, and now time to run. I guess in a way that wanting to jump right into the run without warming up and without stretching is kind of the same thing on the physical level as wanting to jump right into communication with someone else without talking to myself first is on the emotional and relational level. So even though I don't feel like stretching, I feel like just like going right after it and running, I'm realizing that image I have in my head that I can just start booking it and I'll be fine is just as wrong as the image I have in my head as I can just start spewing words at somebody through text or an email and expect that to go fine. So even though my head's not really here and stretching, my head's in this imaginary fantasy world where I can just sprint down the road for miles and that will work. I'm going to stretch because that's something I need to do for personal growth and also not to pull a muscle or make my ankles worse than they already are. Run completed. It's my traditional run that I've been doing, trying to do every day, but succeeding at doing on and off for the last, I want to say 8 months at least, maybe 10. Don't remember exactly how early in the year, early last year I started. It's about a 3-mile run. And I felt like I was booking it pretty good at portions of the run and not keeping a bad pace at other times. But that was a 24-minute 3-mile. And my best is, I think, 20 or 21. So I thought I was pushing my best time, anyway, on this run. But the clock said otherwise when I got back. Being on that run at night, for one thing, it was different to go back to the just straight down the road and straight back type of run. It did make me feel a little bit better about my pace, just because I wondered after only doing like 5-minute runs for a while if I was going to be able to hold a pace. And I realized that it does take a lot of energy to duck and weave between trees and stuff like that, because I felt that my pace was overall faster on that whole run and I didn't get super winded. But also I warmed up and stretched. And I did hit a pretty fast pace, I felt, a couple times in the run and hold it for a decent period of time. It's different to run without holding the phone in front of my face. Holding the phone and filming my run gives me this illusion, maybe, of connectedness. Like I'm sharing this with other people, but maybe, like, so far, how many people have really watched my videos on YouTube? And YouTube says the click-through rate is pretty good. Like, people aren't watching the whole run by any means. If anything, they're clicking through a couple moments of it. And the phone is a distraction from the process of just feeling my own feelings and thinking about something other than holding a phone up and focusing on it. Because in that 24 minutes, I think about a lot of things. I experience a lot of feelings. I separate myself from, the comfort of just being at home and, always having something to distract myself with. And it's just me on the road, and it's dark and it's cold. And, it's a whole sensory thing. I have found when running, in general, especially at night, and it's kind of true of just being out in the dark in general, and just like experiencing the dark, and not just like passing through it as quickly as possible to get to the next lighted place, but like actually going out into the dark intentionally. It brings about different emotions and different thoughts. It's just different. And I don't think it's bad. But I do find on those type of runs often that I just have things come back to me almost unintentionally. And some of those things are regrets and things that remind me of things that I have done wrong in my life, or times that I failed to do what I should have done or what was right. And not just right, like, some empty idea of like, this is moral and this isn't, but right as in the things that would have had a significant positive impact on me or on those around me. And I remember people and things that I've lost. Either through what I did or what I failed to do. And sometimes it's hard to think about those people or things. And at the same time, I want to be able to honor them through enjoying those memories of them. And that's just one thing that I was experiencing on the run today. And sometimes it's very, those things just come into my mind and then they go out, and then I'm thinking about something else, or I'm not really thinking at all. And my pace is changing. And sometimes it feels like as a stronger or more empowering thought comes into my mind, I'll sense that my pace is picking up, sometimes quite a bit, sometimes very significantly. And those are just some of the things that I experienced tonight, and I'm not going into as much detail as I can, and that's intentional. I did realize on the way back, I was just thinking that with being on YouTube, especially as someone who's kind of like a YouTube personality, as opposed to any specific, like lessons or tutorials or, some very specific skill or talent that they're sharing. It's kind of like you're making your own experience of life into a commodity. I'm not sure how I feel about that, even if I'm not really successfully doing it yet. It's just, something that I've maybe has stopped me from trying YouTube at many points in my life. It's like, do I really want to make myself, like, not anything I do, not anything I create, but just like who I am and how I experience life into a commodity to just put out there before a potentially worldwide audience. And I think maybe with a slightly different attitude, that's not exactly what it is, you know? Because that might have a little bit to do with how much you're in it to make money and how much you're in it to share something genuine. But even so, just the concept of like sharing visually and audibly your personal experience with a wide range of people, like with anyone who wants to access it worldwide, that is something that humans haven't had the capability of doing through the vast majority of history. So it's like almost an experiment of recent times. And it's not necessarily good or bad, but it does give pause.